This is a pretty messed up story, um, to say the least, and that is an understatement. Um, well, I want to cover this story because it relates to the depravity of those who have the power to tell us what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is false. And we know that they are, for the most part, or to a large part, absolutely worthless, truthless people. They are propagandists in the same way that everyone who wrote and edited uh, Pravda during the years of the Soviet Union were propagandists with no regard for truth. But but it's one thing to talk about, the lies that they tell and the ways that they distort everything, and just how they can't be trusted because they are the Lugenpress. Um, but also, what kind of things do they get up to? What kind of things go on in these places? Uh, Oops, let's get out of here. Skip. Okay, all these pop ups are really annoying. Anyway, this is from Zero Hedge. A senior producer at CNN has been arrested and charged with enticing minors as young as 9 years old to engage in unlawful sexual activity. It goes on to read, between April and July of 2020, John Griffin, who worked on the CNN show New Day, allegedly used online messaging applications to communicate with purported parents of minor daughters, according to a Vermont grand jury indictment. Okay. So here's a picture of uh, this person, John Griffin, and he's he talks about Chris Cuomo. He and Chris Cuomo were apparently buds, um, and worked together closely. The 44-year-old CNN producer from Stamford, Connecticut, who worked shoulder to shoulder with Chris Cuomo, according to Daily Mail, used Google Hangouts and Kik to convince mothers that a woman is a woman regardless of her age and that women should be sexually subservient and inferior to man, according to a Friday indictment. Okay, so um, here's where things get really weird and really disturbing, as if it's not disturbing enough already. So the charge is that, again, to read from this article, in June of 2020, Griffin advised a mother of 9 and 13-year-old daughters that the mother's responsibility was to see to it that her older daughter was, quote, trained properly. Griffin later transferred over $3,000 to the mother for plane tickets so the mother and her 9-year-old daughter could fly from Nevada to Boston's Logan Airport. And I guess the 13-year-old daughter as well. The mother and child flew to Boston, where Griffin picked them up in a Tesla and drove them to his Ludlow house. At the house, the daughter was directed to engage in, and did engage in, unlawful sexual activity. So there's a little bit of confusion here about which of these two girls it was that he molested, because it talks about a 9 and 13-year-old, and it says that it was her responsibility to see that the older daughter was trained properly. But then it says the mother and her 9-year-old daughter flew to Logan Airport in Boston, and then this daughter was directed to engage in unlawful sexual activity. Okay. Griffin also allegedly intended to entice two other children over the internet to engage in sexual activity, proposing a virtual training session in a video chat in April 2020. which would involve instructing a mother and her 14-year-old daughter to get naked and touch each other at his direction. In June 2020, Griffin proposed to the purported mother of a 16-year-old that she take a little mother-daughter trip to his ski house for sexual training involving the minor. There he is with the disgraced Chris Cuomo. And there he is. There's Griffin. There's a lot of things in this story that just kind of make me really shake my head. But I know this is not this shouldn't be a huge deal. This is very far from the biggest thing about the story. But look at this guy. Like, this guy calls you and says, "I want to train your daughter sexually, your 13-year-old daughter, or your 9-year-old daughter, or your 14-year-old daughter, or in any case, your underage daughter." And you're the mother, and you say, "Okay, yeah, let's do that. Send us money and fly us out, and we'll take part in that." What in the world? I mean, is there anything more after that? No. So there were various times when these things happened between April and July of 2020, and at least one time where it worked, where he talked the mother into coming out to see him, coming to his house, and engaging in unlawful sexual activity, whatever that was. And he tried to talk another 14-year-old into doing a virtual training session where the mother and the daughter would get naked and touch each other at his direction. So again, in at least one of these cases, the mother said yes to this guy. Again, okay, I don't care if the guy looks like Cary Grant. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not making fun of him for his looks, because I'm not saying I look any better than that, but I'm just saying, like, taking everything into account, like, you want this guy. I guess he looks a little bit less doughy there, but he looks like the standard, what some call the standard soy boy, the soy face kind of thing. I generally don't like to get into that kind of discussion, because I don't want to make fun of people for their looks. But in this case, it's just like, it just adds a layer of grotesquerie that somehow makes this even more bizarre than it was before. Like, if he was just a really hot guy and he was really smooth, and then I still can't see being a mother and saying, "Okay, I'll fly my daughter over to you, take my daughter over to you. No problem, Mr. CNN guy." Like, what is wrong with these women who are doing this and pimping out their daughters, and letting this guy do things to their daughters, whatever it is? It's not explicit about it here. Maybe it's more explicit in the actual court document. I don't know, but this. So this is happening between a few months at CNN, and my question is, like, how unusual is this? We've already heard stories about people in the CIA, commonly being involved with child porn, people at the Pentagon being involved with child pornography. And there have been stories. It does seem to be the predilection of a certain class of people, the ruling class, let us say, seem to have this predilection. Not all of them, I hope, but like this happened. I mean, so this guy gets indicted for what he did between a few months in the year 2020. But what was he was working at the network for 12 years. Was this the only time he did stuff like this? And was this the only time that and was he the only one who did stuff like this? Um, you know, and his proximity, his close friendship apparently with Chris Cuomo. They were buds. Is there any possibility Cuomo didn't know that he was doing this kind of stuff? Is there any possibility? It's kind of like the Jimmy Savile case with the BBC. Nobody, no higher ups at the BBC couldn't didn't know who Savile was. No one, in the royal family who courted him and who made him, who with whom they were a close personal friend. They all knew who he was. They all knew what he was up to. And is it really believable that Cuomo et al. Didn't know what this guy was doing? Was it something that they're firing him now? Is it possible that this guy is just sort of like a fall guy? Because nobody knows him. I had never heard of him before now. So is it maybe possible that he's just a fall guy, and that because the FBI arrested him? We know the FBI doesn't do shit about high profile child molesters. We know that. But they arrest this guy. This low profile, doughy faced, fairly low on the totem pole kind of guy. He gets taken out. He gets arrested. He gets indicted. But how deep does this culture penetrate into CNN and other media sites? I think these are worthwhile questions to ask, and I'm interested in anybody's thoughts and opinions on the subject. Thanks for watching.